Welcome to SoMo Garage. Welcome to SoMo Garage, bringing you the latest racing news, sim racing talk, driver chat, and highlights from the SoMo Racing Leagues with SoMo Racing League drivers. Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Get ready for 1 hour of kicking the tires in the SoMo Garage with your hosts, Aaron Reilly and Paul Zotta. SoMo Garage starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to SoMo Garage. I'm Aaron Reilly, joined by Joe Mitchell and Paul Zotta. How's it going tonight, fellas?
Yeah, I don't know. It's another beautiful day, I guess. How you guys doing?
It's going pretty good over here. Long day today, but definitely great weather, man. Cooled off a lot today. So able to be outside, not dying from the heat and sunshine, man. So I can't complain.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm kind of glad we're through the first round of this chase in the Cup Series. We got one more race in the Truck and Xfinity Series, but starting to wind down here and just gearing up for this next round.
Yeah, Charlotte, and going to be the round of 12. I even said last week I doubt I would advance. I missed it by 1 point, man. I can't believe it was that close. But, I'll just come back. I'll try again next season and hopefully have a little something. I was a little off this season. I mean, I've had no speed. And some of the guys, some of y'all that did make it into the round of 12, this first race that's going to be at Charlotte, you guys deserve to be there. You guys were definitely fast. So I guess time for some of us, man, to figure out some settings and step our game up.
Yeah, I had a rough race at Dover. I was running pretty strong early on, and then I don't know what made me change my game plan. About, I don't know, a quarter of the way through the race, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go all out, and I'm going to try to get a win, get some bonus points, and bam, we're out of wreck. So hopefully I don't make that same judgment call partially through a race ever again, because it didn't go well.
Yeah, but at least you were locked in with a win. So, even whatever happened at Dover, even if you didn't even finish the race, I mean, you definitely were advancing to the next round. Now, stepping out here in Charlotte on Thursday, it's a whole new game plan. You got to get yourself back up into a good spot.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough race. I know this one's an afternoon race. And the one we had before, or full-length 600 race, was at night. Car's a lot tighter. It's definitely going to be a tire conservation kind of race.
Yeah, I like Charlotte. I think it's a good racetrack. It's definitely going to be an interesting race, I think, going forward. To me, it's going to be a relief going there, leaving Dover, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Dover's not my favorite track by any means. I was surprised to run as well as I did there. I did start stepping out of the box a little bit. I know we kind of talked about this a little bit last week, and making changes and getting more comfortable. And I discovered all the settings my Fanatic V2 has just on the wheel itself that you can adjust on the fly, and that really helped me a lot, making some changes on there. And I feel like for the Cup race, I really improved. I was able to run in the top 5 and, hang with those guys, and that felt really good. And, on the long run, I still got to work on that speed, but I feel like I made some gains. And then, of course, at the end of the race, I think it was about, 5 to go, I think we had that big wreck on the front straight, and I had so much rear brake in my car, I got on the brakes too hard and turned it into the wall and took me out for the night. So I ended up a little further back than I wanted to be, but able to advance to the next round in the Cup car. So that was still good.
Yeah, you were having a good night. You were up front pretty much. I mean, even on the broadcast, they were talking about you being up there in a pretty good spot. So it was real good to see you able to do it. I can't believe, man. I don't know if you guys saw what I did, but I think it was lap 2 or coming to lap 2, man. I just was down low. I probably should have waited, but instead, I got to run. A couple of guys spun their tires on the start, and I was in the outside line. And a few guys spun tires and kind of checked everybody up. We had a little bit of contact, and I was able to get around 3 cars that really weren't on the, up to speed. And then I was coming behind the 89 Shane Papala, and he kind of went up a little bit, and I had a pretty good run, so I duck it down low. And, looking back now, I probably should have just backed off and let him stay in front of me anyway, but I tried to complete that pass, man, and the backhand came out. It looked like I was going to slide up into him, so I kind of let off and turned a little bit harder, and I went down into the wall. I ended up having about 6.5 minutes worth of damage, and I was almost going to call it a night. Then there was that wreck, and I saw a lot of guys in the chase involved in that wreck. So I said, well, you know what, let me go back out and see if I can salvage somewhat of a decent night. And it was kind of good because, I did get back out there. I gained a bunch of spots eventually, and, man, I only missed it by 1 point.
Yeah, that's tough, man. It'd be better if you missed it by a clear mile, but
Yeah.
you miss it by 1 point. It's heartbreaking. That's just like leading, a whole race and losing it like Chase Elliott did on the last couple of laps. It sucks.
Yeah. But, it's what it is, man. What are you going to do? I'll take it. And hopefully I can figure something out over this winter, during the winter series, maybe, get together with a couple of guys and maybe figure out some settings on here that maybe something I'm a little bit off on, or maybe my driving style kind of, see where I'm lacking and where I need to improve. And hopefully next season when we come out and do our, Daytona 500, from there on out, I'll be a different driver and at least try to run a lot more competitive and feel better about it anyway.
Yeah, I got a speeding penalty at Dover. I was pretty upset about because that's my second one this year. Prior to my first one this year, I've never gotten one. No, I have 2. And I went back, I was looking at the replays and watching the broadcast and stuff. I noticed things that I'm doing wrong, I guess. I keep complaining about long run speed and how other guys seem to have an edge in that department. But going back and looking at it, you don't realize how hard you're driving in the moment, I guess, until you can kind of go back and look at it objectively. And oh man, I don't know, like how hard I was driving into the corners. I don't know if it was because I was like back in 17th or what. I didn't really think I would feel that kind of urgency to get back to the front. But yeah, I need to work on that. Definitely didn't help my cause that race.
And it's funny, you didn't even need to really get back up front because you were locked in. Like, see, I think if I was locked in, I would have had a whole different. Well, I say that now, but it's hard to say that during the race because even looking back, I should have waited another lap or two if I was gonna get around. But I don't know, man. I wonder if I had that lock in, would I have drove the race different or not?
I don't think Joe had anything to lose because he already had a win under his belt and he was going for the bonus points.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the plan, but I mean, going back and looking at it, I've been trying to figure out where I've been getting beat on the long run and looking at it, and it's different from an outside of the car perspective because on the broadcast or looking at replays, you can see like I'm closing in 3 to 4 car lengths on corner entry. Like that's how much the other guys are backing their corners up. And I don't know, it was kind of an eye-opener to see that, I guess. I didn't realize it was being quite that aggressive on entry.
Well, maybe it'll help you now, like for Charlotte and other tracks that are coming up.
I don't know. I hope so. I feel like that's a hard habit to break. I feel like I've been trying to back my corners up, but it's tough to. I feel like every time I do it, I lose so much time, and I think a lot of people feel the same way. Like you try to back your corners up, get huge runs off, and you're half a second a lap slower. So I, some people just have it more dialed in and figured out, I guess.
It's tough. It's definitely tough to not try to run, as hard as you want to, or run as hard as the guys that are really just flat out just fast in front of you. Especially if you don't, feel like you have the confidence to keep up with them. If you just feel like, I mean, personally for me, I shouldn't say everybody, but like, I feel like I'm just on the verge of wrecking every lap trying to keep up with some of these guys. It's amazing how they just, I mean, that they can have fast short run cars and then just have a consistent long run car too. Or if I just keep it back down the entire fuel run, they're still 2 or 3 tenths quicker a lap than I am at the end, and I don't get it.
I think we all got a lot of us got to do some homework over the wintertime, man.
Yeah, I think I'm living proof that I've been kind of racing on the edge all season with how many times I've hit the wall. So it's definitely got to reassess some things and try to learn. And hopefully, we can all get better and move forward with it.
Well, let me ask you this: with the first round coming to an end, especially after this week and all three series, Cup Series starting a new round this week, kind of a whole new stress factor going into this round because as we get through these rounds, you're going to have guys that are consistently faster or run better, going forward that you're going to have to try to beat. Right now like as Joe said last week, the cream rises to the top, so it's going to be harder and harder as these chase races and segments wind down. A lot of stress going forward, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think so. Especially, I kind of wish I hadn't have gotten a win in the first round. Um, it kind of let me be a little complacent, I guess, in trying things I probably normally wouldn't do. Um, but yeah, I think from a competition standpoint, I wish I wouldn't have gotten the win because it would have kept me in that consistency mindset. Because, like I said, Dover, I got completely away from my game plan of what I should be doing, and I didn't finish the race because of it. So I think that's tough. I think everyone is experiencing it differently, so I can only speak for myself, but it's definitely tough. I'm not looking forward to a new round kicking off because it just brings all that emotion back plus some because that guys are getting eliminated. It's getting tougher. It's going to continue to get tougher until we get to the end.
I think it's going to take, if you don't run that good, somebody like me who's not really running up to par, right now. I'm consistent, but I had I had 3 eighth place finishes in the first round, so that seeded me eighth going forward. I the way I look at it is, I need to be running a lot better than that in this round. Even though that if I finished eighth again, it would make me, it would advance me to the next round. But you really don't want to be on that borderline, making it, not making it. You would, a cushion is always good to have. So, my goal going forward would be to try to run in the top 5. That would at least get me to the next round, and then worry about those circumstances, when that round starts. But, it's just everybody's running so good right now in that top 10, really, that it's so competitive right now. I mean, you see guys just running better that haven't run that great all season. Jeff Glockner even, had a pretty decent run, and Jeff's had a tough season, and now he's starting to come around. Just guys like that, even guys that aren't necessarily in the chase, you just see running a little bit better right now. So it's just it's definitely competitive, and it's going to come right down to the line.
And I think too that's part of the beauty of the whole chase or playoff system, whatever you want to call it, is the different approaches that everybody can take to it. Um, I know a lot of guys will try to do it on just being clean, being there at the end, and being consistent. Other guys are just going to go all out and try to get wins, and it lends itself to different strategies, different racing styles, and it's really cool to watch it all come together in the end of it.
And then you got someone like me now that didn't make it to the next round, and the pressure is off me now. I mean, like I felt a little bit of stress in those first three races because my thing was I knew I was going to be in a tough spot to try to advance, so there was pressure to try to advance. And even though just missing it by 1 point, I gave it a good shot. But now going forward, the only thing I'm really fighting for is I think, what am I in, 13th or 14th? I think I'm in 13th. So I'm just going to try to hang on to my 13th place spot in the overall points, at the end of the season. But for me to go out in Charlotte, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. I can go out and kind of try to enjoy myself. And if I finish good, I finish good. If I don't, I don't. I don't have that much on the line.
Yeah, if I were you, I would spend the rest of the season in test mode and kind of prepare yourself for next year. I mean, you could start messing around with wheel settings, and
that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, like, just even continue it, and you might stumble upon something this year that'll help you for the start of next year. So
yeah, but then they'll end up putting out an update and put me back behind the ball.
Well, yeah, we don't want to think like that.
No, but that's what I've been doing actually. I was going to say the setup feels good for Thursday, although I haven't ran this setup in a regular server, just a server alone, and it feels pretty good there. So, and I did some drastic changes, and I changed a couple of ways of what I normally do, and it feels pretty good. So, the only thing I can do now is wait till Thursday and see if I hit something that's going to bring me a little bit more forward or bring me a little bit further back. But like I say, with me, it doesn't really matter if I, finish in the back or finish up in the front. At this point, it's just let me see there's a way to tune this car in any.
Yeah, absolutely. One other thing, Keith Miato, he's been on a really tear, really. I mean, through the season and now into these chases, he's definitely going to be the guy to beat. Going forward, he's running consistent. He's running fast week in, week out. He's got good short run speed, got a good long run car. He's always there at the end, in contention if he doesn't get in any kind of wreck or anything. So it's definitely going to be down to the wire, and Keith's going to be the one to beat, I believe, in my eyes. What about you guys?
Unfortunately, I have to agree. I feel like I looked at the back end of that car several times this year, so it's kind of frustrating at times just watching people drive away from you. And I'm sure, I've gotten complaints. Guys feel the same way about me too. So I don't know. I definitely agree though. He's the guy to beat right now. He's so consistent. He's able to hit his marks lap after lap after lap and just be consistent. And it's tough to beat a guy like that for sure.
And he's got to just stay on it now too, because if he messes up, there are guys that are right there ready to take advantage of it. So but now the thing is, there is going to be more pressure on everybody. All you guys that make it in, that made it into this next round, and I'm sure there's going to be more pressure on him also. Is he going to fall to that pressure, or is he going to be able to ride that pressure? We won't really know until we get to Charlotte and see what his mindset is coming in.
I don't really see him. I mean, he doesn't seem like the type of guy that really folds under pressure that I've seen so far this year. But of course, I haven't run a season with him in the chase either, so I don't know what it's like for him. But He might just not show it, but he certainly shows that he doesn't seem to be on the racetrack.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
He handles restarts with very few laps to go very well, and doesn't really make any mistakes that anybody can seem to capitalize on. And that's really what it's going to take to beat a guy like that. So, hey, it's racing though, and going forward, you never know what's going to happen. It could change and turn around in a blink of an eye. So, definitely going to be interesting here going forward the next round to see who makes it and who doesn't. But it's been a lot of fun so far. And guys, we got a pretty good show tonight. We got Joe White of OSR Network joining us for an interview, so that's going to be interesting coming up. And we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we're going to be right back with Joe.
Listen to me. I'm the crying man. You are the backup singers. Now, that's just the natural order of things. If we all start crying, it's just going to confuse the audience.
Do more and stay active with O2 Dermalief, the ache and pain relief gel like no other. No smell, no tingling sensation, and no greasy feel. O2 Dermalief is a natural pain relief for everyday aches, pains, bumps, and bruises. Oxygen is the secret. It's the natural way to relieve and revitalize. Your joints, muscles, and skin need oxygen to thrive, and O2 Dermalief delivers a rich supply of molecular oxygen in a new, state-of-the-art formula. Every day we hear new stories of pain relief from satisfied customers. Shouldn't you try O2 Dermalief too? Score a $5 discount on your purchase of O2 Dermalief. Visit O2Dermalief.com and use promo code SOMO999. That's the letter O, the number 2, Dermalief.com, and enter SOMO999 to get your $5 discount.
It's all right, he's one of us. One of us? He looks like three of us.
You guys look like two seals fighting over a grape.
Let him spout for the moment.
All right, we're back here at SoMo Garage, and we're joined by Joe White, OSR Network. How you doing tonight, Joe?
Your host.
Doing pretty good. How y'all doing?
Not too bad, man. Pleasure to have you on here tonight. Definitely got a few interesting questions for you. You're in definitely an interesting type of situation with what you do, so we'll go ahead and get started. Basically, how did you get started in broadcasting?
Well, it's kind of unique because actually, as far as broadcasting in general goes for iRacing, it really hasn't been a year yet. December the 1st would actually technically be the first official league race that I ever broadcasted. Now, last year this time, I was preparing myself. I've been in streaming for a while. Which I can take it all the way back to being in the sim racing all the way back to the days of Papyrus and all that back in the early 90s and 80s and all, but I've been streaming for quite a while because, I used to do not only just, sim racing, but I did, obviously console stuff and whatnot. But as far as broadcasting goes, yeah, it's going to be a year in December.
Okay, so it's almost been a year. What's the most challenging part of the broadcasting that you've run into so far?
Well, it's probably what me and Paul was talking about right there, was the fact of actually finding people to be in the booth with you and the enthusiasm that you bring also to it. It's probably one of the most challenging things. A lot of people see the glamour of, oh, them guys sound awesome. It's awesome what they're doing. It looks cool. And then they get there and they don't realize the stuff in the back end that has to go along with everything that gets set up and whatnot.
Exactly, because we've run into the same situation too. A couple guys had come on and wanted to co-commentate and be up in the booth, and I guess it wasn't what they expected it to be, and they didn't come back, which is fine because it's not for everybody. But I know I do the same thing as you. You want to come, you want to try and bring a good attitude, a good voice. Some enthusiasm in there and everything, and not just sit there and call the race like this. So it's definitely takes, I don't know what you want to call it, but it does take a little bit of will on your part once in a great while. But I think for the most part, from what I've seen from watching some of your broadcasts and watching some of your videos, you're like I am, where you kind of enjoy doing it. So you just get in here and like, all right, once it turns on, you're like, all right, let's go.
And if worse comes to worse, you could just take a page right out of Paul's book and you could kidnap someone to have them come help you. That's how I got my start in it.
Okay, cool. Well, and I'll like Paul just said, the enthusiasm and the joy of what you do. I mean, like I said, but that's the hardest part, man, of it is I think just finding people with the same mentality and whatnot. We were talking about that earlier, and it's I don't know. There's a lot of work that has to get done in the back end. Obviously, the overlays, man, getting done, and I have 2 PCs set up. I have 2 PCs, 2 accounts, 2 everything set up, and I do all the button clicking myself. So there is no director on my end, and so everything is talked and done is done on my end. And now some people have the joy of having a director or whatever, and they get to do all that stuff, and they just come up and announce.
We don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask the both of you, Paul and Joe. Do you being in the both of you were in that type of situation with broadcasting? Do you see it growing? Do you see it getting bigger? Do you see more competition as time progresses?
From what I've seen, and like I say, it's just been in a short amount of time I've been here, and again, I'm very thankful for everything that has happened within the year that I've been here. That success, because I owe it to me, my channel, or the channel that it is of OSR Network, OnlineSimRacingNetwork.com, is built from the viewers, the subscribers, the leagues, and the drivers. It's not by me. I bring the content, and it's from them. As far as competition goes, I have seen a flux of a lot of people out there, what we was just talking about a minute ago. Oh, that's great, I want to do it. Come along and try it. But then again, you see them, they do it for a little bit, and they don't. I don't like using the word competition, because I'm not in competition with anybody out here. I think we all bring the same thing. Is there some that are on a higher level? Sure, you got your race spots and LSRs, and I even use max speed as a benchmark when I first started. I built a whole new computer just to do this. I mean, just to do nothing but broadcasting back in March. To the dedication that you bring. So I knew what was involved. I knew what I was getting into. I started small, and I built up. And that's what a lot of these, you asked, have I seen a lot of people come along? I have. I've seen a lot come in. But I've also seen them, wow, they get in there, and they start seeing that it's not only the time that you're there for the race for the couple hours, but you're also taking the several hours during your day to get prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start finding that out, and they're like, wow, wait a minute.
It's a lot more work.
Yeah, a lot more work. And two, you got to throw in there, ain't nobody getting rich doing this. So, it's just one of them things that a lot of people just kind of look at it as a glamour. But sometimes, it takes a dedication.
The one thing I noticed too is, like the way I got started, and I won't go too deep into detail, but the way I got started is we had somebody broadcasting for us, and I had sponsors that sponsored a couple of series, and they put out some good money for it, and then our broadcaster walked away. So we were kind of stuck without a broadcaster, and we already were promised and signed to bring these races live. So I kind of said, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drop my Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights, and I'm going to learn how to do this and get into it. But like on my end, I enjoy making videos. I enjoy making graphics. I enjoy overlays. I'm always into, that's always been my thing since I've learned. So I don't mind doing it. It does take a lot of your time, and there's some times where you're tired and you don't really feel like doing it, but it's, the enjoyment part of it is what keeps me going, and I like it now that I'm getting more comfortable with it. As far as the question that Aaron asked with it, how do I see it growing? I've always been one of those guys that since the sim racing community has grown and broadcasting has come more people are starting to see it, and a lot of people that I talk to, even sponsors that we've approached for the league, when they see the broadcast and they see the things that are going on this side, they can't believe it. And there are corporations and there are people out there that, when they see how many eyes are on these broadcasts and how many eyes are on these leagues and the races that are going on here, and most of their products are online that they sell, or their services that they do are online, for the amount of advertising that they can do through you as a broadcaster or through a league as a sponsor is amazing what you can reach. So, my hopes are always to be in that groundbreaking kind of, part of when it takes off, to be there hanging on to some of those strings and take off with it. But even if it doesn't ever take off, I still enjoy what I'm doing. And there's been times where I felt like, should I give this up? Should I not give it up? But I would miss it sincerely.
Yeah, and I'll agree with him on that one. And, I guess I didn't fully answer your question on that, but I agree with him talking about sim racing as a whole. Sim racing is growing. You see all the esports out there and stuff. I mean, even the peak antifreeze here at iRacing, which is great. But if you even go beyond iRacing, there's many different esports out there, and they have their own style of broadcast. And if I'm not mistaken, it's like the MRN, they telecast peak side, so that's even getting out to real people.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of people say, man, some of these races on iRacing are better than the ones on TV.
I've heard that.
And more excited, yeah. And it's awesome, man, to hear that enthusiasm from the viewers. And you're right about sponsors. I do some leagues that have title sponsors and getting their name out there, and they love it, because you can show them getting out there and the exposure and whatnot. But, the growth, I think, is astronomical. I've seen it just in a year. I think it's going to get even bigger. I guess you could use the word competition because, well, everybody's going to want to get into it. It's just a matter of who wants to sustain and stay with it.
Right.
You're going to get a lot of people start, but then a lot of people will fall off.
Now, if you don't mind, let me just ask you one thing, because I know how I feel about this, and the way you sound, you probably feel the same way. To me, I don't really care who's out there, and I'm not looking to compete with you. You know what I mean? Like, we had a thing that we did a year or so ago that we ran for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. It was called SoMo Weekly, and my whole theory was it was kind of like a magazine, online magazine type of thing. And I used to put that out, and I used to go looking for league owners and ask them to come on. And, we didn't do any broadcasting or talking, but I wanted to talk to them and find out about them, get their logos, what nights they raced, what they raced, and share it. And a lot of things I used to get from a lot of people when I would contact them was, dude, what's wrong with you? You have your own league. Why are you promoting other leagues? And my thing was, because we're a community, you know what I mean? And let people see what's out there. And even the guys that are in my league, if somebody, runs Tuesday and Wednesday night in my league, but they don't want to run Thursday night in my league, they want to go run Thursday night over at another league, I ain't got a problem with it, And a matter of fact, I'll tell you who's running Thursday night and you can pick one. So, that was always my view of it, is I'm not looking to stomp out you as a broadcaster or stomp out, Steven as a broadcaster. I say, look, you got your way, I got my way, you got your way, but we can still move forward together as a whole,
Well, that is funny you bring that up, because ExtremeMotorsports99.com is where I got my start. I know you asked earlier how I did and how long I've been in it, but that's where I started, and I owe a lot of my start to Rick Donathan, who was with ETV back in the day. And I listened to his voice and I went, hey, you're kidding, right? Because obviously I didn't think my voice was suitable enough to be in a broadcast.
I still feel that way about mine.
Yeah, well, me too. I know what I sound like right now. I don't either, but it's just, I listen to that, but it's funny because he had trouble internally with his broadcast. And that's kind of how me and him talked. I said, well, look, it was supposed to just be an extreme. Next thing I know, it blew up into something big, and now, boom, But it's funny you say that, because I do their Wednesday and Thursday league, which is their Xfinity and Cup. Well, they run a K&N and a truck series on Monday and Tuesday. Well, Dre Broadcasting does that, which is Dave Everly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, me and Dave work hand in hand. So closely hand in hand is that I have announced on his show, and he's announced on mine. And next season, which starts next week on Wednesday nights, Dave's going to be in the booth with me as the second person.
See, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, so you talk about, man, look, I don't care who you are. You can be a Max. You could be an LSR, a RaceBot. You could be Global Sim. You can be anybody out there. To me, it's a level playing field. We're all here to do the same thing. One, you should mostly have fun. Now, some take it more seriously than others as a business platform, and that's great. But to have fun and enjoy the community and whatnot, and that just kind of shows you that on my end, yeah, man, I'm not here to have competition, and I have, well, it is funny because also on Monday nights again for Sim 500 here lately, I've been on Yellow Flag TV's production helping announce. So I've been on multiple broadcasts for different areas or different productions and folks, and not sitting here and going, and I know the question gets asked, like you said, well, why in the world did you do that and you got your own? Sure I do. And I've been successful at it, and I've been happy with it, and I've been thankful. But you know what? I'm not here in a competition.
Right.
You know, I'm not here to try to bury anybody else. I'm not here to try to say that I'm better than anybody else. I will use people as benchmarks. If I see them doing something, I'll be like, okay, can I do that? Or can I get to that level? Because obviously they're doing something right. Why not?
Right.
You know. But yeah, no, it's mind blowing, and me and Dave talk about that. What you just said, we talk about. We've never seen a lot of broadcasters, you know, kind of come together, and me and him did that the first couple times several months ago, and we said, man, you just don't hear that often. You don't hear two main. See, he owns his, I own mine.
Right,
you don't hear the two main guys. Now, you might hear, like, their co-commentator go somewhere else, but the two main guys that own the two companies, so to speak, come together on one broadcast or on one another's actual broadcasting channel or race and announce for them. You just don't see it, and it's kind of cool.
One thing we talk about a lot, even with just inside the league and the racers and everything, is to, you know, we're all here for the same reason. We all have a passion for racing, and we all enjoy it. And, you know, it's great that we kind of brought this topic up, because I think a lot of people see it as a competition, but they don't realize how small of a community the broadcasting side of it is. I think it's great to hear guys working together and to want to move it forward in a positive direction. I think it's pretty awesome. It just shows you the kind of people that are out there and what they're willing to do for one another. And, you know, there's a conversation we had actually about, you know, getting you on here. That was one of the things that came up. So I think it's great to see. And I don't know, I appreciate what guys do for one another. And even you coming on here tonight, we appreciate that as well.
Yeah, because
it's my appreciation that y'all allow me to come on here, and that's just how I am, kind of how I've grown up. I appreciate y'all allowing me to do that, and anybody allowing me to come on to their thing. And I did have one viewer out there one time when we were talking about that real quick. He said, "Man, that is unheard of. That's like NBC and Fox coming together." I thought, man, I didn't think about it that way.
My kids watched a couple of your videos, and they were like, "Oh, dude, we got to get that!" Like they were just going crazy, because he's like, you know, my son started peeking over my shoulder when I was going watching one of your test streams the other day, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, what game is that?" And I was like,
"Oh, we're talking about GTA."
Yeah, I was in trouble. So he saw that, and he was like, "Oh," and he's like, "Who is that?" I said, "Well, this guy Joe," and I was telling him about you, and he's like, "Oh," so now he started digging through, and I was like, "Oh, forget it, man, I'm in trouble now." But it's just nice, though, to be able to, you know, come on and talk and share and let people know, you know, what you do, where you are. And then, like, that's the other thing too, I don't want to steal the question from Aaron, but, you know, how can people find you? Are you available still for hire, or are you booked up to the point where you don't really have anything open just yet?
Well, that would all depend on time. I do one night that is a doubleheader night that I call. It's Sunday nights where I do 2 races at one. I've done it before, but as of right now, yeah, pretty much 7 days a week. Most of the times are prime time times, 9 o'clock, 9:30. Yeah, if somebody is interested, definitely still contact me because things change. You never know. I mean, I do 7 days a week right now. Just signed with the Sim 500 to do the Winter Series, 12 races for them. Obviously, Extreme starting back up on Wednesday and Thursday. The NGRL, now their truck series is coming to an end. Not quite sure what the Wednesday nights or Sunday night's going to hold for that. Winstail is off for about next couple weeks. Signed back with them for the next season, so that won't start to the end of October. So that's what I'm saying. I have downtime in there that there might be a day open that if a person needs something special or whatnot. So,
and what's the best way for them to get you?
Facebook, normally. OSR Network. Facebook, that's the best way.
Right.
Obviously, onlinesimracingnetwork.com. That's the website. Then there's a part on there that say contact, get in touch, and it'll come straight email to me. I've had a lot of people email me that way. You can send a message through YouTube, Twitch. I simultaneously cast. I've done Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live, and have been fortunate enough to be on the iRacing portal, which is on Saturday nights with the Racing Freaks that I do.
Joe White, OSR Network. We appreciate you coming on tonight, Joe, and congratulations on your success so far. Definitely looking forward to checking out some of your broadcasts, and we really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Oh man, I appreciate y'all having me, and like I say, it's a thing out there, man. I encourage anybody that's looking to do it. Hey, get up with the guys that actually enjoy it, and learn from them, and go from there. Success I've had is due to the viewers and all. You bring a good content, they're going to come back and watch. That's the way I look at it. So, but I appreciate y'all guys letting me come up here.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to SoMo Garage. That was definitely a good, fun interview with Joe White. Glad we were able to have him on tonight. All right, guys, let's talk a little NASCAR. So, basically NASCAR advanced. Everybody's who was advanced to the round of 12 is. I'm going to run down the list real quick. We got Martin Truex, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Ricky Stenhouse, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Matt Kenseth, and Jamie McMurray round out the top 12. Toyotas have definitely been on a tear here in the first well, I mean really the whole year, but the first few rounds of the chase races here, definitely showing some speed out of these Toyotas. Um, do you think that going forward there's going to be some controversy between these manufacturers? Maybe Ford, Chevrolet getting a little upset, drivers getting upset about these Toyotas running up front and dominating these races.
It's possible. I feel like Hendrick has kind of closed the gap more than anybody else. They all ran pretty strong today. It was kind of cool to see that. Something other than a Toyota just dominating and leading every lap. But I think, too, if it does get brought up in the future again, I think it's going to be at a really, like a high stress point anyway. And they're going to use that to their advantage as kind of fuel to the fire, try to get those guys off their game. I feel the playoffs for those guys, it's just as much about performance as it is a mental edge. So,
Well, Kyle Busch is definitely getting in these guys' heads right now because I mean he's got 2 wins. In these chase races, I mean, he's giving Mark Truex a run for his money right now. He's definitely showing some speed at the right time. He's roughly about 15 points shy of tying Martin Truex right now. So I mean, going into this round of 12, definitely going to be interesting seeing how Kyle Busch reacts. To Martin Truex and vice versa. I think these 2 guys are going to be the ones to beat in these playoff races right now. Martin Truex didn't show as much speed at Dover today, but he's still running in the top 5, up front for the most part, but just not as quick as Kyle Busch. Chase Elliott showing a lot of speed today, so definitely going to be fun to see it come down to the end. Can Kyle Busch pull off another championship this year? Is it time for Martin Truex to get a championship? So, I think I know you're not I know Joe, you're not a Martin Truex fan, but to see those guys run as well as they do, being a smaller team based out of Denver, definitely really really awesome to see that all come together, and it would be kind of cool to see that. I mean, in my eyes, it would be anyways to see them pull it off for sure.
yeah, I mean, I don't hate Truex or anything. It's just he's stealing the thunder away from my guy. That's all.
Not too much though.
Yeah.
I mean, your guy Kyle Busch. He's winning races right now, and he's really strong. And I'm not a Kyle Busch fan at all, but I really. I mean, he's a heck of a race car driver, and you can't take that away from him. And he doesn't fold. He's a guy right there that does not fold under pressure. So, he's going to be, giving Martin Truex all the pressure. I think going through this next round here for sure.
And what do you guys think about Jimmy Johnson? Because there's been a lot of talk about Jimmy Johnson, stepping it up here in the chases. Do you see that happening, or it's still too soon to tell?
I don't think Jimmy Johnson's got the speed this year that he's shown in years past. This time of year, I think something's just a little off with that team right now. I again don't think it's his year to win a championship, but like I said, I mean, things can change in the blink of an eye, and that team's been known to come on when it really counts. But in my opinion, it's already time. That time's already started. So, I mean, he's running 5th in the points right now. You can't count him out, but he's definitely not running the speed Kyle Busch, Martin Truex are.
Yeah, I think from a consistency standpoint, I mean, they're still there. It's not like they can't be a factor any given week. I think circumstances haven't fallen their way several times. I do feel that Jimmy will make it to the Final Four. Whether or not he could win a championship with the speed that Kyle Larson, Truex, and Kyle Busch have shown, I don't know. I don't see them having that much just raw speed. I think a lot of things would have to work in their favor to win at Homestead, but anything can happen.
I mean, you can't, count him out. I mean, what was it, a few years ago when he won his last championship? I mean, nobody. I mean, I certainly didn't think Jimmy Johnson was going to win that race, and he ended up winning it and taking the championship. And you definitely can't count that team out by any means. So, I just, from what I've seen from them in the past, it just seems like they're a little off with speed, or just a little off with the luck they need to really just pull things together right now. But it may be a little soon to tell and figure that out. But I think through this next round, if they don't perform in this next round, I think I think what I'm saying right now is probably going to come true, and they're probably not going to win a championship this year. Chase Elliott's definitely shown some speed, though. He was in the top of the charts in practice. Led. I didn't see the race, but I mean I believe he led the majority of the race today. Is that correct, Joe?
I think Larson and Kyle Busch and Truex kind of led a fair bit. I think even Brett Keselowski won quite a few laps in the first two stages, but that whole last segment of the race was pretty much all Chase Elliott. So they're coming along good. You could see he was extremely disappointed. Feel for him. That's tough, man. He pretty much had that race in the bag, and he got passed for the lead with 2 to go. So it's got to be a pretty crappy feeling.
I mean, I've said this in the past, and I feel like, there's a few rookies out there this year that definitely don't act like rookies or race like rookies. And Ryan Blaney definitely comes to mind. Chase Elliott comes to mind. Those two guys right there, they don't. They're very hard on themselves when they don't perform, which is fine. But I think also, for instance, today, Chase Elliott getting basically passed with a few laps to go, with lap cars being a factor, I believe he learned something today, and can use that going forward. And that's the thing about Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney and all them, that they're very intelligent, and they're very they're great drivers already. So it's going to be really, really cool to see them going forward, because I mean they're going to be they're the future of NASCAR. I mean that they're going to be the next Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt. So it's going to be awesome to see those guys become veterans someday and see how good they race and are ready. So it's a lot of fun watching that. Speaking of Ryan Blaney, he ended up taking the Dover Xfinity race. He noted that it was a cool experience. He always wanted to, win at the Monster Miles. So, it's funny how he says he always wanted to win there. I mean, he's just starting out his career. So, just more kudos to these rookies out here, really just showing speed and just, I know it was an Xfinity race, but just the speed these guys are putting down, only being in the series a couple of years. I mean, it's amazing to me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those younger guys, they just seem so composed under pressure that if you look into the past, a lot of guys weren't like that. It took years and years for people to get that level of composure. It's really cool to see. I think it shows a different level of maturity in the youth coming up through NASCAR. And one thing to add to the Ryan Blaney win, that was the Xfinity race at Dover. He did something really cool when he got the checkered flag after the race. He actually gave it to a little kid in the stands. He said he saw the kid standing there. he like had his arms up in the air, and he was actually wearing a hat of some other driver, and Blaney gave him the checkered flag, and then invited the kid to victory lane, and autographed the flag for him, and then gave him a Ryan Blaney hat to wear instead of the other driver's
That's pretty
hat.
cool, man.
Yeah, so it was cool to see that happen. You generally don't see drivers really interacting with the fans like that. It was pretty awesome.
I have a feeling he'll be wearing a Ryan Blaney hat next time.
Yeah, heck, I might be. I don't know. That was pretty cool.
That's cool.
All right, guys. One more thing before we, end the night here. We, there's been a lot of talk about the regulation of burnouts and causing the rear tires to blow out on these cars after the race. I personally, I'm going to put in my 2 cents real quick. I don't feel that it's right that these guys are shredding their quarter panels up. Basically changing the dynamics and the geometry of these cars after the race. I think that's an unfair advantage to them if they are trying to in fact hide something, or everybody's got to go over the same post race inspection, and it could possibly give them an unfair advantage. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't like it either, because once they do that, it, like you said, rips the quarter panel off the car. The car no longer fits in the body template that way, so in my opinion, it should fail. They can't tech the tires because they have to change the tires to get it through post-race inspection, so they can't even inspect the tires that the car finished the race on. So I don't like it, really. I'm old school. I like the whole Alan Kulwicki celebrations, the Polish victory lap. I don't really even think a burnout is necessary, to be honest.
I think you could, if you wanted to do a burnout, you could do a small burnout without shredding your quarter or your tires off. But yeah, I think the only way to regulate it is to not let them do it at all, because it's not like they're going to count from 0 to 10 and say, okay, I got to stop doing my burnout now. So it's probably best to just have them stop. Period.
Or if you do it and you tear your car up, you chance losing that win.
Yeah, right. Get an encumbered win or something like that, because it's considered as good as cheating, basically. So they could leave it in the driver's hands too, and say that, hey, you're going to do it, that's fine, but you blow out your tires and you ruin your car, you're gonna pay for it. All right, Paul, you want to talk about what's going on this week in SoMo?
Yeah, I'll quickly go over because we're almost out of time here. We have Tuesday night, Portside Jaguar Land Rover Truck Series is going to be at Talladega for chase race number 3. Bottom 4 guys will be dropped out after that race. Wednesday night, the Lazy Days Racing Xfinity Series will be at chase race number 3. That's going to be at Charlotte at night. And the same deal, 4 drivers at the end of that race are not going to advance to the final round. And then Thursday night on PBR Broadcasting, the Lazy Days Racing Cup Series heads into race 1 of the round of 12. And those 12 drivers are starting it off fresh for 3 more races. So it should be pretty good. Should be an exciting race anyway. And we'll see who's going to advance and who's not going to advance. And don't forget to tune in here next Sunday night at the SoMo Garage, and we'll bring you some more from SoMo, from iRacing. We'll see what other kind of guests we're going to get a hold of, and we'll talk about some NASCAR.
All right, guys. On behalf of SoMo Garage, I'm Aaron Reilly, along with Joe Mitchell and Paul Zotta. It's been a lot of fun, guys. Have a great night.